Welcome, welcome. Sorry, this is very last minute. We're just going to wait for a couple people to join here. It looks like there's a few people joining. Very last minute decision here, guys, to do this live stream. As you all know, I just haven't been feeling good the last week or so, and this thing is just hanging on. So, but we finally hit that 70K target that I haven't been able to shut up about. So I figured I have to come here and do a bit of a stream for you guys. So first and most importantly, I guess, how are you all doing today? And as well, I see that since there is only 5 or 6 of you guys here, if you could just do a quick audio visual check, make sure you can see my charts and you can hear my voice clearly. I actually just entered another position, so that's basically another reason why I wanted to go live here. Oh, it looks like we have about 20 people here now. Nice. We are filling up. If you guys appreciate this last minute stream, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. So I have actually just taken a little bit of a short, but I want to be clear about something. This short is actually a hedge short. You guys know I've actually been very openly bearish about as long as we are under 70K, basically. I actually ended up taking a beautiful long last night. I'm still holding on to 3/4 of it. And that's just kind of why I'm willing to end up taking a bit of a hedge short right now just to protect myself. So I do want to talk about why I took that long last night, because you guys know I was very bearish. Honestly, I even made a video last night about being bearish, and then something caught my eye later. Like I always say, reacting over predicting any day. But yeah, basically something caught my eye. And even though I didn't think it was going to play out, I was leaning very bearish, but something bullish caught my eye. I took a swing at the long, and it was a beautiful long position. I got in right at 68.3K. And basically, I took 1/4 of it off the table at 69.8 because we got really close to that 70K. So now, guys, I've actually opened up a hedge short. It is smaller than my long position, but just to protect myself here, just in case we are going to reverse, there's a few reasons I want to go over here why I am taking a hedge short. It's not even that I'm overly bearish at this point, but you guys know I have no problem trading against my own bias for the most part. Even though when I was macro bearish, I was still trading the long side. Just like last night, I was actually quite bearish, but I ended up trading the long side anyways, because I just, whatever the charts tell me to do, I'm going to kind of do. And yeah, I just figured this was a good level for an insurance short, basically. So one thing I want to be clear about, I do see potential for support right now. We do have this higher trending buy signal on the 1 minute. We have some order flow, some green order flow coming in on this Keltner band down here. But basically, my reasoning for taking this hedge short, I just want to discuss this one because it's most relevant right now, because obviously the long has already run a pretty good course. I have no idea if this short is going to play out. And honestly, I do not care. I'd actually prefer it gets stopped out because, like I said, it's more of a hedge than anything to the long that I'm currently in. But my reasoning here is, you guys know I've been watching the 70K level. So I just want to take off some indicators. That one specifically. Let's go over to the daily chart. So I'm basically going from this lower high back here, and this lower high is actually indicated by my auto charting tools indicator here. And that's also the level that I've just been watching, because I had my own structure here, lower, low, lower, low, confirming that the highest point between the two is our lower high. And that's why I've been watching that level for such a long time. And it's why it's kind of my line in the sand. I was totally open to the idea, especially once we reclaimed this level, when we got our bounce here. Yeah, I'm open to the idea of seeing some upside, but I was always very vocal that, I'm going to be looking for shorts in these levels up here. Now, something that has happened that has changed my opinion about Bitcoin is we did actually get slightly above 70K. We did get slightly above this lower high symbol, just getting this little wick above. My problem with what's happening, and I know a lot of people are going to be mad at me because I said once we break 70K, I'm going to be a moon boy. I'm more open to the idea of being bullish right now, but I'm not a moon boy yet. And here's some reasons is, after we came up to this level, yes, we got a close above there, but we quickly dropped down below this line again. That's my 70K resistance, that lower high level. We've redropped below it. So we never held that resistance as support on our way up. We never, just got above and then held it as support, something like that. We're still showing it as potential resistance here. This can be broken at any time, especially with how much FOMO's in the market and everything. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Maybe we just smash through in the next few minutes. Then whatever, my hedge short gets closed, my long takes the reins again. That's totally fine. That's the great part about hedging, right? Is because at this point, I don't care which way we go. I'm just going to lock in more profits either way. But basically, as we got near the 70K level, I'm looking at this as potentially a little bit of a swing fail. Let's bring up some other indicators. The RSI did have this bearish divergence as we got kind of a double top here. And then on top of that, what really caught my eye is on the 1 minute, we did start trending lower trending sell signals. And even though we've had a few of those on this run up is the thing. So I don't want to give this too much credit right now, but that's always a bit of a warning for me when I bring up the ALGO master indicator. More so than just looking for an entry, it's just a reason to be a little bit cautious. And that's why I am being a little bit cautious and just making this insurance short, right? But honestly, I have the feeling it's going to get stopped out because I do have this other buy signal coming in a little bit higher. But again, as far as insurance purposes, you know what, if we blast through these highs, then you know what, maybe we do get our blue sky breakout. Maybe we do smash all-time highs at that point. That's fine. My long from 68.3 is sitting very nice right now, and I would love to see that carry on. But if we drop down, I would really hate if we tested these levels, tested the 70K level, and I never ended up getting into a short and we do absolutely just dump off a cliff. I'm not really seeing it right now. It's not like I see a ton of weakness right now in the charts or anything like that. But it is just a little bit of a warning, right? So just protecting myself more than anything at this point. The 4 hour, yes, we did get just above my lower high right back here, right? We got just above that red box, but again, it's looking like a bit of a fake out. So we're going to have to see. I mean, this 4 hour candle still has almost 3 hours left. It could absolutely just break through here. If we start closing red candle bodies showing rejection here, then I think it's absolutely possible we're getting some sort of a swing fail there. And this was just a liquidity grab. You'll notice this trend line that I had. Here's one thing keeping me a little bit bullish is that, after we got this little swing fail here, I had mentioned that I'd be looking at shorting the retest of that. And I did. And you know what? I hit my targets because I was trading that on a very short time frame. Even though that move barely went down, it's totally fine. It was still a nice trade. But the fact that we got back above it the next time here, that's showing a little bit of strength. One argument I have for that is, you guys know I talk often about when I'm looking at diagonal trend lines, when I'm looking at playing breakouts, I like 3 exact touch points. And that's going to bring me back to my long position, by the way. But I like 3 exact touch points. And the fact that we had this little swing fail here already on this diagonal trend line makes me think that, it's not as clean as it could be. Yes, maybe I'm overthinking things there. That's totally fine. That's just, I'm picky with diagonal trend lines, right? Here's why I end up taking my long. Speaking of those 3 touch points, this is something that caught my eye on the hourly chart. I know I was posting it in a couple groups, but this is one trade setup that, like I said, 3 exact touch points, right? I go with this trend line, and not only that, but we have some added confluence here with the auto charting tools, printing these pivot points right along this trend line. I don't necessarily consider these 2 separate touch points. It's kind of the same peak or the same swing, but even down here, we ended up testing it again. So just confirming that's a 3rd exact touch point, if not 4. So 3 to 4 touch points. And then, as I always say, I like 3 exact touch points at least, followed by flipping that trend line, right? Looking for that retest. So if I really zoom in where we ended up breaking this trend line here, let me just clean things up a little bit. where we ended up breaking this trend line, notice that's exactly what happened. We came back and we tested it absolutely perfectly. And that's where I decided, you know what? I can have a nice tight invalidation. If we lose this resistance, I was going to be, or turning it back into resistance, I was going to be looking at, if we came down something like that, I was 100% committed to shorting that retest. But since the retest actually held as support, I ended up swinging that along, because not only that, but again, using the ALGO master here, I had upward trending buy signals. So that was just added confirmation that, hey, this trend is still going to the upside. The indicators agreeing that it may continue that way. And that's what really, in the end, it was an hourly time frame trend line with, that checked my boxes of having 3 to 4 touch points before breaking out, perfect retest, algo master indicator agreeing that upward trending buy and sell signals. So that together just made me think, even though I was bearish yesterday, you guys, that's the thing, right? I'm able to trade against my bias, because I don't, the market doesn't care about my feelings, and therefore, it's obviously hard not to care about your own emotions. But when it comes to my bias, I mean, this was just a tight invalidation setup, right? Because if I was wrong, whatever, my invalidation just down here, that's totally fine. And then I would have looked to short the retest, basically. I was totally willing to lose that position. And in fact, anytime I take a position, I just kind of assume that, there's a good chance I'm wrong. Always know what worst case scenario is, because no matter how certain you are about a position, it can absolutely go against you. So that's been playing out absolutely beautifully. Like I said, I only actually took a quarter of my profits, because just in case this really turns into a runner, I want to be holding on to 3/4 of this position. You guys know I normally trade the 1 minute and the 5 minute and stuff like that. So the fact that I entered that trade based on a 1 hour chart, and then I zoomed into the 1 minute to, really dial in my entry, but I was looking at that as an actual 1 hour setup, which is more of a swing trade to a guy like me. So I was willing to actually hold on to it for a while. I wasn't just taking, a quarter to half of my position off the table within 10 or 15 minutes like I often do. I waited till we got basically to that 70K target, right? If we end up dropping, this is down just below 69.2K, I'm going to take the rest of the profits on that position, and I'm going to let that short carry on. If we end up blasting through our resistance where we've topped out, if we break above 70.3, then I'm going to assume that, hey, this is no longer a swing fail. We are just going to carry on, and that's fine too. I'm just, as traders, I think it's really important to be ready for anything. And that's where I say, reacting over predicting, because no matter how certain I am of any trade setup, it's always possible that I'm not correct, right? So that's why I love getting into a hedge position. Even the fact that, okay, I'm in this position now, I could absolutely take a loss. I am so much more comfortable just having this position open right now, because yes, if it takes a loss, my long is going to continue rip into the upside. And if we break all-time highs from that, absolutely fantastic, So this is something I kind of want to touch on too, is, I've got a lot of comments in the past, the past several months, because since June, I've been very bearish. So many people telling me that I'm going to miss the bull market. So basically, here's my rebuttal to that is, the way I'm looking at things is, I wanted to get this break, basically breaking this trend line and whatnot. I wanted to see some sort of bullish confirmation. Even the fact that we tested above 70K, at least it's some sort of bullish confirmation. And now I'm at least willing to consider the upside situation a little more seriously. Yeah, even though down here you could say, oh yeah, you missed all this. Well, that's just not true, because even though I was bearish, like I said, I have no problem trading against my own bias. I understood that there was a good chance we were coming back up to my resistance, more specifically my Stuber fib pocket. I was very open to the idea of targeting up to these levels. So yeah, I was playing longs in these channels too, because I trade shorter time frames anyways. But a lot of people are, even if we do break out from here, this has always been my line in the sand, basically right where we're trading today. This has been my line in the sand since we bottomed out at the start of August at 49K. So being the fact that this resistance wasn't broken until this point, there was literally zero reason for me to change my opinion because I could trade against that opinion. But as far as looking for shorts at this level, I mean, this is just a level of caution that I was throwing out there. This is a level that you got to start being careful. And that goes for the bears. That goes for the bulls right now, because we are on the verge of a large breakout, in my opinion. But that being said, if we're just barely going to take out these highs, we're going to do something like that. I mean, we're by no means in the clear yet. Yes, it's a good sign that we've actually taken out this level. But even if we do that, so here's something that I wanted to talk about. And one of the reasons I wanted to do a stream today is, you guys know I love those Stuber fibs on the 5 minute, the 1 minute. I've been showing them on the 4 hour, the weekly. I show them all over the place. It's my favorite trade setup to take. Here is another thing that a lot of people won't like me for saying right now. This does not have to happen. Okay. I'm just saying that, as far as a bullish Stuber fib setup, we could still have quite a big retrace from this point. It's just that now, if we're breaking that 70K level, even if we have a big retrace, I feel much different about it now than I did even a couple days ago. Because a couple days ago, I was open to the idea of seeing some very, very low targets. And honestly, we still could, but I'm less certain about it, let's say, if we get some sort of a close above this 70K. Because at that point, then we actually have a structure change. And my macro structure, this is what I've been talking about for months now, is I had this low, have this lower low. This is the lower high, but that's the highest point between my last two lows. Therefore, that's my confirmed lower high for the way I'm looking at this. That's the range we're in. So if we break it to the upside here, we could still pull back most of that move, right? But the fact is that I'd always said that kind of, if we pulled back from these levels, if we would have topped out right here, for example, at that point, we don't have an official Stuber fib down there because we haven't actually broken that macro lower high. Whereas right now, if we do kind of close a candle, even an hourly or 4 hourly above 70K, then at least it's a bullish structure break for me. And it's the first one since back in March, as far as these macro swings go. So at that point, I would actually be willing to consider this a full-on Stuber fib, and I would get very bullish at the 786, 886 Fibonacci pockets. Again, that does not have to happen. It's not like every single swing we get those pullbacks. But if we were to get some sort of a swing fail and we pull back to the bottom of the range here, I feel very different about this than I used to, just because that structure has changed. And that's one of those things where a lot of people get structure wrong, or just that's something that helped clear up structure in my head, is just understanding that something that can look so very similar, just the slightest different in the structure on where it actually tops out and the levels that it actually breaks, can actually make a huge difference in how the structure is going to react. So right now, like I said, I'm in that nice long as well as just a hedge short. One thing, this is probably the main thing keeping me cautious right now, is on the weekly. I really want to see this weekly candle close above 70K. The unfortunate part about that is, if it does, I mean, it's very possible we see a crazy breakout from here. But that being said, we are still technically fighting with this sell signal, right? We are testing it right now, basically bang on right now. It's sitting just below my 70K lower high structure there. So to see all these things lining up, I mean, I really want to see how this weekly candle closes. If the weekly candle invalidates that, I mean, I think we're laughing. But the thing is, if this turns into that swing fail, like I was talking about on the kind of on the 4 hour, for example, and we're just going to use some momentum, just hammer down and actually get just forget about the pump, and it was just a swing fail, liquidity grab, whatever you want to call it, then it could still be in a very bad place, right? So I'm very curious to see what happens this week. Like I said, I'm way more open to the idea of upside more than I have been for the last several weeks, months even. Yes, call it FOMO if you want, but it's because it's actually testing that lower high structure and actually trying to push above it. But yes, I would personally like to see at least a 4-hour close above that level. And then to actually feel relaxed about it, I want to see the weekly candle on Sunday close above that. So we're going to have to see. I did want to bring up the liquidations indicator because I am curious about it. Yeah, once again, that one, just all the 50 and 100x liquidation levels are still to the downside. We actually went up and grabbed the rest of the liquidity, it looks like. Again, I'm not entering trades based solely on this indicator, but would it make sense for the market maker to want to push to the downside, even if it's a healthy correction this time? Yeah, it makes sense that we could see some downside, right? And that's just why I feel more comfortable by actually having my head short open at this point in case this is going to be some sort of a fake out. Hopefully that all kind of makes sense. I would love to see a lower sell signal come into play here as far as my short goes. But again, if it doesn't, then whatever, my long is going to carry on. Just curious. I do want to catch up on some messages in the chat here. First of all, I guess you guys, I've been showing my indicators a lot here, the MDX ALGO indicators. I use these every single day. I have for more than 2 years now at this point. And just, again, even not just entries, but also just looking at it as far as risk management, looking at, hey, maybe the trend is shifting and the fact that this is happening right at a level I'm already watching. Yeah, it doesn't have to play out, but I just love, I'm always kind of looking at structure first. And from there, I really like to bring up a handful of these indicators and kind of get a second opinion, just looking for that additional confluence. But at this point, yeah, I think it makes sense to take a bit of a head short, but also understand that, the bulls do have some momentum right now. So if we break these highs again, it's looking less like a swing fail to me. And at that point, I think we're just going to carry on higher. And, at that point, there's no reason, in my opinion, why we shouldn't test all-time highs. I mean, why not? If we're going to smash through this lower high resistance, why not test up all the way to the top of the channel? If we end up breaking that all-time high, I mean, I think there's a good chance after that much consolidation, that's like 8 months of consolidation. Yeah, I think if we break the all-time high, I think it could very well be off to the races from there. I'm just going to make a white trend line there, white resistance line, just to keep it on the radar there. But yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy has changed yet because we don't have that 4-hour close above that level or anything, or do we? No, see, so far we just kind of wicked above and we are struggling a little bit. So we're going to have to see how this next 4-hour candle closes. But yeah, honestly, it's just something to be cautious of, right? Like if people are kind of looking at, oh, I'm just going to YOLO long into resistance kind of a thing. Just understand there's a couple warnings here is all. But I do think the bulls have some good momentum right now. Let's just bring this up again. Even if we were to get like a higher sell signal and followed by a higher buy signal again, honestly, I would consider taking a scalp long on a different account as well at that point. I'd open up a second long position. But I do want to see these agreeing with each other in that point. But yeah, if you guys like the look of these indicators, you want to give them a try. Like I only really use a small handful of them, right? There's so many more here in the list to choose from, all very unique, very cool. But yeah, there is an additional 10% discount on the link down below at checkout. If these indicators do interest you, there should be a link down below. Like I said, easily my favorite indicators. Use them every day. There's probably a lot of people in the chat right now who can vouch for them that really like coming up with their own strategies and stuff around these indicators. Let's get some tunes going here. Just going to kind of watch basically the 1 minute for a little bit because I kind of went over my main thoughts on the longer time frames. Just kind of overall, just be a little bit careful of this swing fail of the 70K range. If we can't close candle bodies above that level, then, I think there's at least a chance of some sort of a pullback looming. But if we can smash that level and get a proper breakout, flip that level from resistance into support on a shorter time frame even, then I think Bitcoin's sitting in a very nice spot. So, I mean, yes, I'm not full on Moon Boy, not full on FOMO at this point, but a lot of you guys know that this is the most bullish I've been in quite some time. And by the most bullish, I mean just not sounding like Mr. Bear, just constant bearish, this all doom and gloom. I'm open to the idea of some brighter skies, clearer skies. Ooh, we could get some Halloween music going this time. Let me know, guys, if the music gets too loud or anything like that. I just feel like I want to get some sort of background noise going. We'll maybe catch up on some chat here. Let me know how you guys are all doing, how you feel about the market, if you guys are in any positions, if you guys caught any nice longs, if you're taking the short as well. Let me know what you guys are doing. Short Bitcoin, get wrecked. I don't know. I've had a good time shorting Bitcoin the last few months, honestly. Even if we break out at this point, I mean, each one of these swings was the exact same. So, I mean, it was very fun shorting this while everyone said all-time highs were around the corner and all-time highs were around the corner here and all-time highs were around the corner here. It was a lot of fun shorting that. Even in here, caught some nice shorts. No complaints, because you guys know I'm not a home run trader kind of a thing. I'm mostly scalping, mostly on shorter time frames, and then just hoping to catch a running position with the rest. It's actually quite strange that I entered a trade on the 1 hour yesterday, mostly because I found the entry on the 1 minute, I guess. But got a couple of people. Oh, Trend Informer, you're short on BTC. Yeah, exactly, Brandon. You can't guarantee your profits. You can guarantee how much you risk. Exactly. And honestly, everyone likes different trading styles. I personally only like isolated leverage when I'm trading with leverage, period, because I like that isolated amount. I know exactly worst case scenario, because honestly, sometimes your stop loss isn't your worst case scenario. There's slippage. I've been liquidated on positions where my stop loss was in a profit before. It does happen. It can happen. And I mean, that's why I like isolated leverage, because I know exactly how much is on the position, how much, worst case, you get liquidated, how much is in there. Sell. Yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely not selling spot. Even when I was super bearish, I mean, I sold about 15% of my portfolio at 69K back in June. But even while I was mega bearish, I mean, I wasn't selling my spot. I was really just trading the leverage side of things. I was mostly focused on the downside, but now I'm just kind of more in the middle ground. Now I'm open to open to either direction more so. I'm not favoring the bears near as much right now. You want a huge profit, don't we all? We all want a huge profit, but honestly, these markets, they're so volatile. Honestly, anytime I enter a position, usually I start taking profits very quickly on most of my positions. With this short, I'm not, because it's a hedge, so I'm just leaving it until we break our range highs, basically. If we break that, then I cut my losses and the long takes over. But if this was a new position, kind of its own thing, or like a scalp, for example, I would absolutely be looking to take profits within 10 minutes, probably. If I was trading on the 1 minute, my kind of general rule of thumb, just not so much set in stone, just something I like to keep on the back of my mind is have 10 candles going past whatever time frame I'm trading. And same with the 1 hour, right? Being I was in my trade for more than 12 hours because I entered on the 1 hour, it was time to start taking profits, which was another reason why I closed a quarter of my position just below 70K. So we got near my target. You know, I was in my position for a decent amount of time. And after that amount of time, I mean, it's very possible things start to get choppy, things start to move the other direction, even if it's short term, whatever. I just like to start downsizing my risk. So if it's a 1 hour chart, yeah, within 10, 12 hours, I'm starting to think, well, should I change my position at all? Same with on the 1 minute. I'm looking at more 10, 15 minutes. Well, is it time to start considering downsizing? Is my position playing out the way I thought it would? Am I near any reasonable targets? Anything like that, right? So what about ETH? Oh, I'll check out ETH in a second. I don't look at ETH all that much, but I will take a peek. 1 sec. Just let me catch up on the rest of the messages. Caught along exactly on the 69.3K wick. Gonna see what happens. Where's 69.3? The one down here, I'm thinking. Nice, nice. Yeah, I mean, if bulls can push past this, where we've topped out so far, if they can push past that, I mean, we might be in a good place. I don't overly want to close more of my long position at this point. But like I said, if we drop down to my dotted line here, drop below 69.2, I'm just going to take the rest of my profits. It's a very relaxed situation when you can get yourself into a nice hedge like this, you know, long from down here, short from up here. One of them I'll just cut it eventually, let one take the reins basically. But yeah, I really don't feel like I have to find a new position now tonight or anything. I can relax. If we get rejected here, what are my bottom targets? That's a loaded question. It really depends what kind of a rejection we get here. The lowest I see us going, and honestly, I don't think it'll happen, but it's 100% possible, would be we drop all the way to the Stuber fib down here, which would be 51.5 up to 53.7K. That's pretty extreme if we're going to basically retest this whole swing, right? If we break this 70K resistance, and we are going to get some sort of a pullback there. I mean, on the 5 minute and the 1 minute, you guys know those Stuber fib setups I'm always showing, that's what it is. So yeah, it seems ridiculous when you look at it on the 4 hour, and maybe it is ridiculous in this case on this exact setup, but that's just one thing that I like to look for, right? It's not saying the price is going there for sure. It's not like I would hold this short until we get all the way down there. I would definitely be taking profits along the way if we get some sort of a nice rejection. But you know, it is possible. Another level to watch for, in my opinion, would be, you know, here we have a high, we've set a higher high here. So as far as the immediate trend right now, so another thing that you could consider doing is, I'll be watching the fibs like this. Being we have our high, higher high, I'm going to pull a fib from the higher low, which would be the lowest point between the two, just kind of chasing the price. So if we get some sort of pullback, if we do come back to this fib pocket, which would be around 66.3 down to 65.7-ish, you know, that would be a very healthy retracement after breaking 70K. Or even right now, if it reversed from here, that would be a very healthy retrace. And I would be considering taking some sort of a long there. If my other one, I guess my other one would be closed at that point. But I'd be looking at some sort of new long scalps, or even a scalp hoping it turns into a runner kind of a thing. This guy been short for a month? Dude, I have taken probably 37 shorts this month, okay? It's not that I've been in a short this month. I have been shorting, I have been in several longs, I have been in several shorts. So yes, I guess I have been in shorts. There's something to be understood here is kind of like I was saying, you know, on the 4-hour chart, for example. When I was talking about this and when I got my triggers of my lower lows, I always said, you know, it's very possible we come back up to our resistances. And that's where I was always looking at those Stuber fib shorts, for example. The shorts, and to be honest, if you're saying I've been short for a month, I've actually been shorting this heavily since the start of June 13th to be exact. So yes, longer than a month. This trend has been beautiful for shorting. I take no insult to shorting some of these these rips to the downside. No complaints here. ETH, I will check out ETH. ETH, I like what I see here. So this is on the 4-hour chart. For one, I like that we have higher setting sell signals. We have higher trending buy signals. Love to see that. Another thing that I really like to see here is that if you want to look at just this immediate trend, right? We did end up breaking this level. Being that we had a low here, lower low, here's our lower high. The fact that we broke that, I mean, it makes a lot of sense that we'd retest the top of this swing. Even if we got a pullback, that's the thing, right? We have that nice structure break that I like. So even if we got a pullback, I mean, I would still be expecting some sort of a bounce. We do have that bullish structure as long as, you know, there's at least a reason for these lows to hold. Okay, that's the thing. A lot of people are just saying, oh, we've bounced 2%, the bottom's in, kind of a thing. No, I like waiting for confirmations. When I'm looking for trade setups, when I'm using high leverage trades, I like those confirmations. I don't care if I catch a top or a bottom. I'm just playing the structure for that's actually in the chart. But yeah, ETH, to me, it looks good right now. Like I said, the fact that it broke this level here, has those higher highs, higher buys, higher sells. What else can we find here? We might have some sort of a, actually even this. So this is one of those times where I mean, obviously it's too late for this, but that's one of those times where, you know, we had 1 touch point, 2 touch points. The 3rd touch point was not a perfect rejection followed by a breakout. So this is what I was looking at as a failed break, right? Kind of the opposite what I was looking at earlier. So that would, on a shorter time frame, I bet there was a beautiful long setup there. But like I said, I barely follow ETH anymore. Might have some sort of an ascending triangle forming. That would be beautiful if it did play out. Still got work to do, right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, things aren't looking so bad now, but there's still a lot of resistance ahead. The 1 hour, kind of agreeing, same thing, right? We had this low here, exactly the same on the 1 hour as the 4 hour. So that line, we did break it. So yeah, even if we do pull back, at least there was this bullish structure break. So if we're going to retest the swing, I would love to just basically following the price with a fib, right? And I would love to get some sort of an entry near the 786, 886. Just curious, yeah, how do you feel about ETH? Is that kind of, were you looking at the same sort of thing? MSTR, I would check out MicroStrategy. Why not? So MicroStrategy looks really strong. One thing I will say is, again, it does kind of look like it has a swing fail though on the 4-hour. Just notice we got that wick above, but we also got a rejection. We also have this big gap down here, which may end up filling rather. Or that even down, yeah, whatever. Even if we just said to, be safe, something like that, so often these gaps fill, right? So there's potential for a pullback. The thing is, I think it'll largely depend what Bitcoin does, although MicroStrategy's actually been performing a lot better than Bitcoin. Even though, yes, Bitcoin's been performing well recently, MicroStrategy's actually been doing a little bit better. Oh, this is Tesla. Oh, man. Sorry. Tesla and MSTR are the only two stocks I really look at. Yeah, that's why it was looking a little weaker than I was actually even thinking. I was looking up at a short setup there, and actually it got invalidated as well. So, I mean, things look great there. As far as the immediate term of this, I mean, this thing's in a blue sky breakout, right? Even, this is gonna be reaching a little bit here, but just looking for some sort of extended trend line, something like that. I mean, yeah, that's not super clear, but we do eventually end up breaking that, flipping that resistance into support and carrying on to the upside. It's not a super clean trend line. I'm more of a fan of horizontal levels. I think as far as, okay, this is the 4-hour, let's check the daily. I would really like to see the daily hold this whole little doji that we had yesterday. I'd really like to see us hold that, just because on the very immediate trend, I'm looking at this is basically the order block that pushed us a little bit higher. So if we end up dropping that, that's where I'm more open to the possibility of shorting some sort of a retest like that. But as it stands, I mean, there's nothing bearish I can say about this chart right now. It looks like it's going parabolic. If anything, yeah, maybe it's starting to get overextended, but I don't like to stand in front of a train. So that thing is ripping. 4-hour agrees with that little support level down there. Let's see what the 1-hour is saying. Yeah, kind of the same thing. Everything kind of lining up with that area as potential support there. Let's see what some of the other indicators are saying. Yeah, higher lows. ALGO master indicator. So it actually has support quite a bit lower. We have these order blocks down further. So take it for what it is. But either way, just a beautiful uptrend. I mean, still holding this pink line here. And that's actually lining up very close with that support I pointed out, right? So I think down around, even if MicroStrategy dropped like $30 I really don't think it's in a bad place at this point. If it starts dropping that, drops to 27, then at least, there's a little bit of a warning shot fired, we'll say. I actually do want to bring Tesla back up. Yeah, like I said, higher trending buy signals, that's on the 4-hour, higher trending sell signals. Even if we come down and fill this gap, I think that's still not even looking so bad. Oops. Pretty funny, even on stocks, like you guys know, I don't look at stocks near as much as I look at crypto, but even just, you can just see those 786, 886 fibs. There's one on Tesla. I can see it got rejected at one. 786, 886. I don't think this swing actually reached it. It got front run, so maybe it still pulls back. If that gap ends up filling, maybe it pushes through and actually ends up going a little bit further down towards 201. Does it have to happen? Absolutely not. I think it's quite reasonable to suspect that we would fill that gap, though. Even down towards 225, somewhere in there. Yeah, the bulls are really holding on to this buy signal here. So, I mean, yeah, I would love to see them push through this resistance. RSI curl into the upside a little bit. Yeah, I really want to see how this weekly candle closes. I'm going to consider doing a live stream right around the weekly close this week, Sunday evening, if you guys are around. Or for those of you who are around and want to join for that. I'm really thinking this weekend I should do that. Because things could get very volatile around that weekly close. And also, I'm just so interested in this one. Because if we close above the sell signal and invalidate that, I mean, I think that's a huge warning sign that things might be getting silly soon. But, you know, if we do just get that swing fail on the 4 hour, for example, and that just pushes us and we get this, you know, we just get a big weekly red candle or something. I mean, oof, that would be rough. Oh, here we go. Yeah, can we blast through? It's the 5-minute algo master saying, yeah, higher trending buy signals still. Yeah, 5 minutes still looks juicy. Oh yeah, come on. Come on, Biddy. Turn Stewie into a moon boy. Just do it. Who do I think Satoshi Nakamoto is? Oh, I couldn't guess. No idea. Very smart man, though. Or woman. Or group. Most likely a group. Oof. Yeah, that Tesla. I have a feeling Tesla's going to go for a little tumble. I wouldn't be surprised to see it fill that gap. It's just... Asian? Yeah, probably. I have no idea. Probably a few people of all races and ages. So this isn't actually full-on Stuber fib as well. So we don't actually have the structure break that I would like to see for fib pull, considering a Stuber. But technically, we do have a higher high pivot point. Is struggling at the 786. So just like I said, it's an interesting level that we're at right now. Anyone else in any positions? Solana on the 1 hour. See, really looks like things are doing some swing fails here. I mean, the market's either it's having a hard time breaking resistance on a lot of assets right now. The thing about these trade setups that are nice is, you know, even if this does just blast through, it's like I've been talking about the last few videos, it's that tight invalidation, right? It's the same reason I was looking at 70K as a potential shorting area, is just because it's such a tight invalidation. If you're actually looking for a swing trade, again, just because I'm looking at a potential bearish trade setup does not mean I'm overly bearish. It just means I'm playing the side that I think is less risk. Even though, well, just like last night, you know, even though I was bearish, I took a long last night at 68.3. So who cares if I don't care if I'm bearish or if I'm bullish. I'm still just going to trade whichever way. Wherever I see a trade setup that I feel like, hey, there is a tight invalidation there, and actually a reasonable cause, right? It's not that it's not like setting just a blind order at this level. It's seeing that, hey, we tested this double top area and we're actually seeing a rejection there. If it breaks out, I mean, that's an extremely tight invalidation, right? You know, even that type of a setup, you know, if this was going to play out as a full swing, I mean, that's a 7-to-1 risk reward. Just assuming that's around the set. Yeah, just happened to eyeball right on the 786 there. But yeah, that's a 7-to-1 risk reward. So it's not necessarily going to play out. But, you know, those kinds of setups, looking for those tight invalidations, that's where people FOMOing into resistance. That's where your invalidations are so much further, right? Just kind of poking around on Solana here, seeing if anything catches my eye. Oh, also, we are technically in that fib pocket. You know, this would have been our low. There we set our lower low. So there's our bearish structure break. Highest point between the two, between here and here, is up here. So that's why I pull the fib here. That's my range. So yeah, absolutely, it could just continue break into the upside, especially with, you know, this time of the market cycle with the elections around the corner. Yeah, you know, maybe that absolutely does drive a parabolic run. Who knows? Nobody knows for sure. We all have our hunches, but nobody knows for sure. But as far as just straight up charts, I mean, we're getting into resistance. That's all there is to it. Not saying it won't break, but we're getting into resistance. Bitcoin's really trying to break it. Needs to break what, 70.3, I mean. And then I think all-time high is around 73, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, if we can smash 70.3 right now, and it looks like we're going to, I mean, come on, break out. Come on, get past my, don't let the 115 stop you. Come on. Let's go, Biddy. Come on. Break my 115. So I always have my 115 there. For those of you familiar with my streams, or those of you who are new here, I always use the 115 as kind of my invalidation fib. I always leave a little bit of wiggle room past that. And that's why, basically for those swing fails, right? A lot of people put their stops like, you know, just $1 or $2 past structure. I personally like to give it a little breathing room like that. But if we break that 115, I mean, basically I can cut in that short. Realistically, it probably will soon. The fact that it never got rejected at the 786, 886, it's just that for this type of a setup, that's always my invalidation. So I shorted and now I shorted. Short isn't quite invalidated yet for me, but very, very close. It's nice to cut losses quickly on positions in general, but if you never leave any wiggle room for a stop loss, I mean, then you're just asking to eat so many fees. If you're just going to get stopped out to the dollar every time kind of a thing. Because the market maker loves to push just past trend lines, just past resistance, just past support, right? Trigger those stop losses and get all that liquidity. And basically, if we push any higher, he's going to be grabbing some of mine there, but change of tunes here for a bit. If it would break, would I add on to my long? No, I don't want to ruin my average entry on that one. That's a good one. I will consider playing the long side, be looking for dips to long on my other account. I have like 6 trading accounts just so that I'm not limited to one. So I would leave that one open as a swing basically. And I would be looking at scalping some longs, hoping to catch some run. You know, if they turn into a swing as well, great. But I just want to leave that one run because, you know, as long as we stay above 69.2 anyways, if we drop that, like I said, I'm going to TP the rest of it. But, if we stay above that, I just want to let that one run. Because 3/4 of it are still going, and that's a nice one. SL equals sore losers. Stop losses definitely, they save a lot of people, myself included. I know so many people get sick of using stop losses because they get hit just to the dollar. Like I said, a lot of people leave them so tight. And then they get the urge to, oh, I'm not using a stop loss next time. I'm certain this trade is going to play out. I'm not using a stop loss. It'll just wick me out. You know, I've had friends never trade again after telling me that before. So in my opinion, I always think a stop loss is smart, or a very good understanding of how much margin you are going to lose if you get liquidated. That can also be another form of risk management, right? I'm a fan of stop losses and that margin risk management, but to each their own, right? Everybody trades different. Yeah, if we squeeze to 72, 73, that would be sick. I'm all for it. Do I play memes? I have been playing memes lately. I actually caught an 80x the other day on a random meme. I just bought a bag of something that was dumb that made me laugh because it's something me and a buddy used to laugh about 20 years ago. I just bought a little bag to show him a picture and laugh about it. And the next day it was up like 8,000, or what was it? 8,000%. I was not expecting to see that when I opened my wallet. But yeah, with meme coins, I mean, I never trade with very large amounts on those. They are so risky. They're straight up VLT in my opinion. That being said, I'm not a fundamental guy, right? I'm a charts guy, and unfortunately, charts can't prevent a rug pull. But yeah, I'm in a few memes. Come on, breakout biddy. Let's see it. Come on. That hedge is gone. Which means the long can carry on if we're going to continue. Please carry on. Let's roll. 1 minute is up. 5 minute breaking out. Hell yeah. Let's go. I'd really like to see us stay above this range now that we've broke above it like this. I'd really like to see us stay above 69.6 now. If not, I mean, again, that could just be a sign of weakness, a sign of a little bit of a shift on the lower time frames. I like that we got back above this trend line. I like that we invalidated these downward sloping sell signals. So even if we get a sell signal now, it's going to be a higher printed one. So at that point, I'd be looking for a higher printed buy signal. And at that point, I'd probably end up scalping some longs again. Yeah, come on. You can do better than that. I mainly trade on BloFin. Trigger, I personally, like, I click on my position and then I set the stop loss for my whole position generally. But if I ever want to break up my stop loss, I use trigger orders quite often. Like, for example, if I just wanted to really tighten my risk right now, and I was thinking that, hey, you know what? If we lose this level here, I want to close half of my position, then I would set a trigger order for down here. Just to close part of my position. But whenever it comes down to my actual full position, I always just click on the position and enter it into the stop loss. just me personally. And I also use market orders. The fees are a little higher on market orders, but if I'm getting stopped out, I want the peace of mind that the order is going through. I can even chase this up a little bit. Just to kind of show how I manage my risk on the go with the trade. Just because this long has been playing out so nicely, like I said, I've only closed a quarter of it so far. I'm open to the idea of closing a little bit more of it. If we end up closing even just a 1 minute candle below one of these immediate order blocks kind of a thing, I'm going to take another little nibble. Because I don't really have a target in mind at this point. I'm just hoping to hang on to this position, but I also want to make sure I do pay myself a little bit more, especially since that hedge technically did lose a little bit, right? It was an insurance play, but it obviously did take a little bit of a loss. So if we do continue going to the upside, I just don't mind taking a little bit of nibbling on some profits on the way in case we reverse. Tone is on the morning shows more so. I like to look at the charts around the daily closes. That's nice and volatile quite often. Yeah, it depends if you're looking at it on your mobile or on your computer, I suppose. But yeah, there should be a button, like a plus minus button that says like SL/TP or something like that, that you should be able to adjust your position for a full stop loss, full take profit kind of a thing. Yeah, this guy's really trying to grow some legs. Frick yeah. See guys, I'm not a perma bear. I'm excited when we go up too. I promised. Yeah, I was hearing that music in the background and I was like, this does work right now, doesn't it? Yeah, hopefully that helps. If not, I mean, I'm sure there's tutorials on YouTube. That's something that I should make. But yeah, if you click on the position, you should be able to find stop loss or take profit or whatever. And obviously, like, if you're new to an exchange, like, I don't know what the extent of how long you've been trading on BloFin. Just anytime you're starting with a new exchange, in my opinion, you should always be starting with a small amount, just in case things are slightly different or the way they trigger are different. Just kind of getting familiar with an exchange. It's always better to be safe than sorry. Do a couple test runs. Frick yeah, let's go. Let's go. 70.7. Whoop. I was going to wrap up the stream a little while ago, but it's just getting good here. I am going to set a partial take profit order just below my white line here, just below 70.2K actually. Give it a little wiggle room. I just want to make sure I pay myself a little bit because that would drop this support here on just this immediate, yes, it's micro analyzing, but just really zooming in here, just this kind of higher low structure right here on the immediate trend. If we drop that, we're also dropping my buy signal here. Just a couple of warning shots, like I said. You know, generally speaking, like when I am scalping more so, when I get into a position, I'm almost looking for reasons to get out, especially now that, we've hit my 70K targets. I'm just looking for reasons to start paying myself, kind of a thing. So that's just another reason, I'd be kind of annoyed with myself if we dropped and just did something like that and ended up taking out the rest of my position really quickly out of the blue like that. I wouldn't mind taking a little more profits if we end up dropping somewhere in there. Not seeing any weakness, just preparing, because these 1 minute charts, they can change very quickly. Oh geez, I just realized that I was muted because I was coughing earlier. That's okay. Didn't say anything too important other than, yeah, I haven't felt this good about the market in a while, because it is, it's not, like I was talking about earlier, it's not so much that I'm FOMOing into resistance. It's that I've had these levels laid out for quite some time now. While I was talking into a muted mic there, this lower high signal on the daily chart, the fact that we broke that's a very serious structure break, in my opinion. That's all happening while we're live here. That is fantastic. That is a lot of strength. The fact that we're breaking that. Not only was it my invalidation level, my lower high level, but the fact that auto charting tools agreed with all that lower low, lower low, lower high, that was just added confirmation there. So to see us invalidating that range, I'm loving what I see here. We did break a little bit higher here. I'm actually going to pull this up here. I'm going to update that trigger order. I'm going to keep it just below this, but I'm going to update that trigger order to about 477. And that's not my full position, guys. That's just, what is that? That's about 20% of the remainder of my position that I want to lock in some more profits if we lose this immediate 1 minute trend, because really these trends shift all the time on the shorter time frame, and I just want to make sure I pay myself a little bit more. Even just looking at these Keltner bands down here, just look at all that volume coming in. It's So that's the thing. Even if we do end up dropping here, I mean, Bitcoin's looking good. There's a lot of strength here. I feel way different about this chart than I did, 2 days ago, even yesterday. Way different. Yeah, my short got invalidated. Still, I regret nothing about taking it. I love taking a hedge position because, like I said, I just had so much peace of mind because if it got stopped out, I mean, look what happened. There's a reason why I have invalidation levels, right? Also, just to give you a heads up here, because this can change very quickly. So I have that trigger order of 20% of the remainder of my position down at 70,477. That being said, if we close even a 1 minute candle below my green line here, which is, what is that? Right around 70,780. And that's the BloFin chart, right? Each exchange is going to vary slightly, but basically I'm just chasing the price. I'm chasing the high or low structure on the very immediate microanalyzed trend, just so that I can lock in a little more profits very soon here. If we close a 1 minute candle below structure like that, I will be manually changing that trigger order, and I will be manually just taking those little profits. I'm okay letting it get down there. If it's just going to wick, then whatever. But if we close below here, I'm just taking that as a bigger sign of weakness and want to make sure I pay myself. So that's the thing. That's the thing about trading, you guys, is whenever I say reacting is more important than predicting, even if you're wrong, you can still make money. There's a lot of people who nail their predictions 100% and still lose money, just like there's people who are wrong on their predictions and make money. Like I kept talking about with last night, I entered this long way back here, even though I was bearish, just because we broke that 1 hour trend line I was talking about earlier. Yeah, my bearish theories were wrong. Doesn't matter. Still played a beautiful long. Still in that beautiful long. Yeah, if you guys appreciate this, just I know it's maybe not the popular thing to do, to be cautious at levels and stuff like that, but just understand why I'm cautious at certain levels. It doesn't mean, like I said earlier, just because I was bearish and warning about 70K resistance does not mean that I was in a short for the entire month, for example. It just means that I was more open to the idea of when we get up near 70K, looking for shorts. That's where I like to look at these indicators. You know what? They're still showing this beautiful trend to the upside, right? We're still getting, well, especially now, I mean, our next signal, our sell signal, is going to be a way higher sell signal. And then if we start just trending higher buy and sell signals on the ALGO master, that thing's just going to print money. In a trending market, it is so powerful. Yeah, in a choppy market, it can chop around a little bit, but that's where I like to see which way they're actually trending. And I mean, if this thing just keeps breaking out, it's going to form a beautiful trend. And again, if these indicators do interest you, there is a 10% additional discount link down below. Additional 10% on checkout on top of current promotions at MDX ALGO. Love these indicators, and just kind of helping hold on to that confidence, right? It's nice to see that this buy trend is starting to catch up to where I have my support currently. Nice to see that support held again. Look how perfect that was, right? That's why when I talk about this structure, yes, it seems like it's very micro-analyzing. Sorry, one sec. Let me get this out of the way here. Yes, it seems like it's micro-analyzing to look at this as high higher high, higher low. But where did we find support? We found support at that higher low. Yes, it's microanalyzing, but we're looking at the 1 minute chart. Everything we're doing is microanalyzing right now. But structure is structure, and that's, I mean, that played out absolutely beautiful. So now we have a higher high. Again, that confirms our higher low, but I mean, it's at the same level. Nothing changed based on that structure change there. What's my high prediction for 2025? Honestly, I don't have one. I'm just going to watch what happens with structure. I could start pulling some fib extensions and that kind of thing. But honestly, I like fib retracements more just because I like looking for those range targets because there's already structure there. Just something to base it off of. I can't really give you a guess as to when the structure or where we're going to top out. Honestly, I'm going to be watching the 4 hour, and you know, as long as we keep staircasing up, setting higher highs and higher lows, then I'm going to remain bullish. As soon as we break that structure, something like that, then, you know, I'm going to be open to the idea that, hey, maybe we're going to pull back. Does that mean it's the end of the market cycle? No, not necessarily. It just means that it would be a good time to consider the downside possibilities, whether that means, you know, taking a little profit on some spot positions, just looking at the option for swinging at some short setups, whatever, right? Oh, 71.3, we are flying. BlackRock will be buying the top on leverage. See, I have a problem with that statement, and that's one thing that still concerns me about this market cycle, is a lot of people thought that way about CME futures trading starting with Bitcoin. Everyone thought, oh yeah, hedge funds and, you know, the New York Stock Exchange, everyone's going to be trading Bitcoin with leverage. We're about to enter this super cycle. That was literally the day that the market cycle reversed, went from bull market all-time highs, and the bear market started the day CME futures trading started. Everybody was super bullish on that because, oh, these big players can play with even more money, or these big players are coming into the space and leverage is coming into the space. Everyone's going to be able to put even more money in than they have now. Well, also, it was just a reason for people to short it right back down, right? So, yes, it's possible that they could, you know, be buying the top with leverage. But you also have to consider that if they have access to leverage, that means they also have access to shorting, which means they could totally tame this market. And by tame, I don't mean like nuke it to zero or anything. I'm just saying, like, you know, they could technically, in my opinion, stop a parabolic run. I don't think that's necessarily what's going to happen. Just understand that leverage can go both ways. Where do I think the correction will be? Honestly, right now, I just don't really see a correction yet. Like, basically, I'm going to be bullish at this point until a 4 hour chart or even like a 1 hour chart or something loses some sort of structure. Even on the 1 hour chart, you know, if we lost this trend line that I've had mapped out for a while now, or the 70K lower high there, if we drop that again, you know, we still turn that into a swing fail. Let's say 4 hour, how long until this closes? Yeah, I mean, this only has an hour and a half. I don't really see this being a swing fail. I mean, that's a pretty big jump up. I think it's looking strong. The price isn't going to go one direction, right? I mean, the 1 minute, it's going to change structure all over the place eventually. But so far, I mean, it's just trending to the upside beautifully. High, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, same higher low. So even on the 1 minute, we're never losing that immediate higher low structure. So yeah, you know, I call it micro analyzing, but really even on that front, we have not lost a higher low yet on the 1 minute. Starting to see some sell volume coming on my band up here. Just how it's turning bright red like that. So we might see some sort of a correction on the 1 minute coming up. I wonder if I should take those partial profits now. Should I zoom right in, get in on the 15 second? Get into some second charts. Yeah. Sell signal on the 15 second. Everyone panic. No, I'm just kidding. I would never try and trade anything less than a 1 minute. Even the 1 minute's a little ridiculous for most people. It's not for everybody. Leads to over trading, revenge trading, over leveraging. All those bad habits we're supposed to avoid. MDX liquidations, yes, I will bring those up again. Just going to remove everything else. Liquidations, so that was one thing I mentioned earlier, is that we did grab the rest of the high leverage liquidations. I only have 50 and 100x liquidations on my settings right now, just because I feel like they're most relevant for you know, immediate price action, just because they're the easiest to liquidate, obviously. So there's so much liquidity building below us, but I mean, I'm never gonna stand in front of a train just because there is that liquidity down there. It makes sense that we could see a correction at some point, but we just don't really have that yet. You know, higher buy signals, higher sell signals. Higher high, higher low, and we've broke that higher high. So the indicators are looking strong right now on the 4 hour. Actually gonna delete this trend line now because it's just bugging my eyes. Yeah, again, for those of you guys who haven't been here since the start, so the reason I went long last night at 68.3, I often talk about how normally I like horizontal structure, and Fibonacci's number one for me. I do also still like looking at diagonal trend lines from time to time. But I have very specific rules the way I trade them, and it's not like this is the only way to trade them. This is just how I've done my own back testing, so it's how I trade them. But basically, I was looking at this 1 hour pattern. I like at least 3 exact touch points, and when I say exact, I mean like wick touches. I personally don't go for the average. I don't go for candle bodies. I go for the wicks. I go for exact wicks, and I like them to be fairly consistently spaced out as well. So here's my first touch point where this downtrend starts. Got my second touch point. I'm going to consider those both the second touch point because they're so close together, and you know, so got that bounce, hit those, and notice we actually ended up getting that third one that I was talking about. So 1, 2, 3. They're even nice and evenly spaced out, right? Like obviously not perfect. Or here, let's just go to the middle of the two. I mean, not perfect, but they're fairly evenly spaced out, right? It's not like they're next to each other. They're nice, evenly spaced out touch points there. And just look how perfect they are. 1, 2, 3, followed by breaking, right? If we would have broke that resistance right here, I would have been more looking at it as a swing fail, because if we only have the 2 touch points, again, these are counted as one. On the 3rd touch point, if it already breaks, I'm looking at it as there's a good chance it fails, and then I can short the retest. The fact that it got 3 exact touch points and then closed candle bodies above and then came back and flipped that resistance into support, that's what made me get mega, well, I shouldn't even say mega bullish. I did not think it was going to play out that way, but I traded the charts. I traded against my own bearish bias, and it worked out great. But that's just because, this is an exact trend line. Like, that's where back testing comes in, right? I always talk about the fact, you got to find out what works for your eye. And that's how I've always looked at diagonal trend lines. Well, I shouldn't say always, but the last 3 years or so, I like those exact wick touch points. And then followed by at least 3 rejections, followed by the breakout, and then the retest. And that's what I did here. So nothing out of the ordinary there. And it just turned into a beautiful play. And like I said, I also had the ALGO master, had upward trending buy signals. Was it the 1 minute or the 5 minute? Either way, 1 minute and the 5 minute. I think this is the chart I had up. Yeah, this is where I ended up going long. But yeah, basically we had upward trending buy signals, right? So just added confirmation that after we ended up breaking that trend line, retested, upward trending buy signals, boom, beautiful. It's weird for me to hang on to a position this long. But that's why I always say too, right, is I'm never an all or nothing. Like, when I get into a position, when I hit my targets, I usually 95% of the time, I don't close my entire position. And that's just in case it turns into a runner, just like what happened today. I wasn't really banking on that big of a move, but you know what? It happened. I won't complain. See, and so I would not consider this a high or low, right? I know a lot of people would. I personally don't, because we haven't actually taken out this higher high, right? Because we have this higher high followed by this higher high. So this higher low has not changed yet for me, because that's the lowest point between my last 2 highs. If we end up breaking this high, then I have a new higher high. And at that point, I can confirm this as my higher low. Hopefully that makes sense. Not saying that's the only way to look at structure. Just there was one time someone random, on my 3rd monitor, I had some random guy doing a video, and he mentioned structure that way, and it totally changed the way I looked at structure once I started looking at those confirmed levels. Because yes, it feels like, oh, it's too late to notice that as a level, but I mean, that's where you start looking for fib pullbacks and stuff, right? Not saying they're always going to happen, but that basically is the idea around a Stuber fib, is you're looking for that pullback after setting a higher low or lower high, for example. I'm actually going to bump up this partial stop loss. Just kind of chasing the price as we go here. Because at this point, if we break down below this higher low, I just want to make sure that I lock something in. Once again, guys, I got to ask, and thank you so much for being here with me in general. But if you do appreciate these live streams and kind of seeing my take on the market, how I'm chasing structure, how I'm using my indicators, all that sort of stuff, if you do appreciate it, do me a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe to the Financial Summit here. I do quite a few live streams here now, usually try to do 2 or 3 a week. And as well, I have my own socials in the description down below. So I do some streams on my own channel as well, and have my own Twitter and stuff like that, if you guys are into that sort of thing. It's over. Just sell it all. Yeah. Oh, we've had a couple 1-minute red candles. Better panic sell everything. Traders get wrecked, hodlers get rich. Depends. Bear market, it's over. Double top, triple top, bull trap. See, I totally could see us pulling back quite aggressively at some point, but I don't think at this point, being we broke this lower high structure on my 4-hour, my daily, and my weekly, I would feel much different about a pullback. Even if we pull back to the bottom of this range, I just feel a lot different about it now. And this is one of those things, right, where, yeah, I'm saying I'm bullish right now. That doesn't mean that if we end up down here that I've been holding along the entire time, right? I'm just saying that, hey, if we get down to that level, I would absolutely be looking for some long setups. I don't set blind orders when I take trades. I like to see how levels are reacted with. But yeah, even with bullish structure like this, there can be a big pullback. And at that point, everyone would think the market cycle's over. And maybe it is, honestly, who knows, right? But I'm more willing to look at the bullish side of things now. Doesn't mean we're going straight up. But the fact that we did break this structure here, you know, it's just that there is a sign of strength. I can't argue that anymore. I have been bearish since right here. I made a live stream actually suggesting that we'd set a lower low, bounce, get my Stuber fib, get rejected again, set a new lower low. And then I was suggesting that we see another Stuber fib and then a new lower low. Well, it doesn't look like that part's happening, but you know what? Having that bearish bias since the start of June, these were juicy downside moves. And, you know, people who are going to say, oh yeah, you know, people shorting are getting wrecked. I mean, if you ask me, I think the traders who are actually looking at market structure for what it was and were willing to play the bounces, but also willing to look at the bearish structure, you know, there's a lot of people who every one of these swings were FOMOing in with leverage at the top. There's a lot of people who did that every single one of these swings because some of their favorite influencers and stuff were saying, yeah, all-time highs are right around the corner. All-time highs next week. All-time highs within the month. All-time highs in October. All-time highs, and, you know, there was always all-time highs right around the corner, which, in my opinion, led a lot of people to get wrecked at these lower high structures over and over. And honestly, I loved playing the short on every single one of them. Just like now, if we, you know, now that we're breaking some serious structure, in my opinion, especially if we break all-time highs after 8 months of consolidation, I am at that point, anytime I see that high or low structure, I am going to be looking for Stuber fibs. I'm going to be looking for the trending ALGO master indicator. I will be looking to long every dip in sight because the structure is just different in that case. So tired of 67K. Oh, I get it. That's the thing. We were, that was long and painful. Here, let me just reload this 4-hour chart. Yeah, I mean, how long were we just tapping away at this resistance here? I mean, that started October 15th. It is now, what, the 28th, 29th? So yeah, I mean, we've been trading at the resistance for a long time. You can see our RSI is, I mean, a lot of people would say it's overbought. I have mixed feelings about that because now that we broke the downtrend, we're trending to the upside. I mean, the RSI stands for Relative Strength Index. You know, if we're trending to the upside, and we are way overextended, I'm seeing that as a ton of strength, right? I mean, even back here when we went into overextended conditions here, way overbought, look, that's, I mean, that was kind of happened back here. We still got a large part of the move. When you look at larger time frames, that's when shit gets wild. You know, when we can get RSI back into the overbought conditions, quite often that is the start of a bull market. Like, really, I mean, so many people trade the RSI so wrong, and they think as soon as we get, you know, above the 70 level that we're overbought and we need to correct. I mean, look where that happened. That happened at these levels here. If you're going based on just the RSI, that, I mean, the RSI loves to be overextended in parabolic runs. Look at this run back here. Look how much it was overextended, overbought, and it just kept going to the upside. So I would love to see our weekly RSI go back above 70. Full moon boy in that case. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, frick yeah. I'm getting very hungry, so I think I'm going to leave soon. But I definitely went over all everything that was on my mind. I think I cleared up, and it was cool that we got this nice little breakout here to the upside during stream. That's exciting. Nice 4.5% move on 69x leverage. Holy, over 100 people watching. Guys, if you appreciate this, you know, this live analysis, yes, I know these videos get a little long when we're doing this, but honestly, that's what trading is, right? The market's going to do what it's going to do, and if we're just chasing the price like this, babysitting like this, yeah, I mean, we have not even broke a micro-analyzed higher low on a 1 minute since we broke out. There's just no weakness yet. I want to check a couple things actually real quick. I want to check the DXY. On the daily. The DXY has a little more room to go to the upside, if you ask me. I was just pointing this out as a potential Stuber fib setup. Came back, you know, we got our structure break right here where we had our low, lower high, bullish structure break, pull back to the 786, fib pocket, boom, hit the 214 range target there. And here we're making another run at it. The fact it already played out once, maybe it won't play out again. But that is something to consider, that the DXY still does have room to the upside. And if it breaks that first target, I mean, it could be shooting way up here. Just something to keep on the radar. That being said, I know everyone likes to say, oh, the DXY and Bitcoin are opposite correlated. Usually, yes, not necessarily though. Sometimes they move together, so something to consider there. What else did I want to see? Bitcoin dominance. Just see, yeah, Bitcoin dominance is fine. So this is another thing, you guys. In my opinion, this is a sign of strength. I know I was talking to a couple buddies the other day, and I was mentioning that, you know, Bitcoin dominance can be misunderstood as well, because it kind of depends on the market conditions. If Bitcoin dominance is dropping, but the market seems like it's spooked, that could be people panicking out of higher risk assets, going down into Bitcoin, or even a step further, maybe down to Bitcoin, and then it's easier to off ramp into fiat, whatever. But when we see Bitcoin actually flying to the upside like it has been today, and Bitcoin dominance is climbing to the upside aggressively as well, in my opinion, that's a little bit different. That looks more to me like the focus is on Bitcoin. Like it's actually a healthy move, like the start of a bull market should be, or the start of a parabolic run, where focus is on king crypto, Bitcoin itself, right? So if you ask me, I love to see that Bitcoin dominance is climbing and Bitcoin is flying as well. I think that's a very good sign of strength personally. If we see Bitcoin all of a sudden flatten off, it starts chilling out, it starts ranging sideways, rather than just getting spooked and panic selling right away. If it can actually consolidate, especially if it breaks all-time highs and starts consolidating on shorter time frames, and then the Bitcoin dominance drops from there, start looking at altcoins. Altcoins are going to go absolutely nuts if that recipe happens. Obviously, there's a few things to watch out for there, but that's one thing I'm going to be watching. Shorts wrecked, yeah. Yeah, I was in a hedge short at the start of this video, but you know what? Cut my losses when we broke structure. And that was a part of the plan. Like I said, it was only half the size of my long anyways. And it was an insurance play, just in case this failed break of that 70K level. If that was going to flip into resistance, you know, these started trending to the downside, I was willing to have that hedge there as insurance. But as soon as we invalidated that, I mean, I'm not interested anymore. Just letting the long from 68.3K run for now. Popcat. I'm gonna go on BloFin just because that's what I have. Yeah, that's looking nice. There's probably a better chart. What is the best? Probably like MEXC or something. Is there older charts, or is that kind of the beginning? Yeah, that's all the way back to April. Pop Goat is actually one of the memes that I bought yesterday. I think it was up like, I think I caught a 5x on that one overnight. I sold about a quarter of it to cover my investment and stuff, but I still have most of it. .1 hour, yeah, it looks like it's breaking out. What's the algo master saying? These buy signals, they're not higher trending, but it looks like a triple bottom of buy signals. I mean, it played out beautifully either way. I don't know what our, even if we got in at the top of that range, I mean, it's up 15% since. Beautiful. I've been meaning to watch PopCap more, actually. Seems like it could be a scalper's dream. If we got a higher sell signal and a higher buy signal, there might be a nice long opportunity there. Oh, we finally got a sell signal on the 1 minute. Again, it is a higher sell signal, obviously, since down here. So I don't know if it's going to totally reverse the market, but either way, I do have that partial stop loss just below this structure here, just to make sure that I do pay myself, just in case it absolutely nukes, right? Because the market doesn't care what I think. It's a game of protection. But yeah, I'm not interested in shorting this sell signal, for example. For one, it is just the 1 minute, and we're ripping on the hourly and the 4 hourly and everything. So take it for what it is. If we got downward sloping sell signals that they were actually forming a trend, I would at least consider it, but honestly not that interested in this signal. I'd be more interested if a higher buy signal prints now, looking at more of another scalp entry on another account. But yeah, if these MDX algo indicators do interest you, There should be a link down below that gives an additional 10% discount on top of current promotions at the MDX Algo checkout. Again, easily my favorite indicators on TradingView. Been using them every single day for over 2 years now. But yeah, guys, anyways, legends, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. Hopefully you did find this stream useful. If so, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, please. It goes a long way. I seriously appreciate it. I appreciate it, you guys being here with me, period. Obviously, I wouldn't be doing these talking to myself, so it's great having people here. I love talking crypto with you guys. And honestly, it works as a great trading journal for myself. I love talking through my own emotions. I find it a lot easier to kind of stick to my plans as I talk about my thoughts, right? So yeah, definitely appreciate doing these with you guys. I'm starting to feel better now after about a week of being sick there, so hopefully be doing a few more streams. Thursdays I'm busy. It might be fairly busy this week, but yeah, either way, you'll see me around. Be sure to subscribe to the Financial Summit as well as my own socials down below in the description, just to make sure that you don't miss some of these live streams. But things are looking good, in my opinion. Bitcoin looks great. I'm pretty excited about what I see here. So yeah, hopefully the bulls can keep pushing. Obviously, like I said, just be cautious. You know, we start re-losing some of these levels. We lose 70K. We lose this higher low structure on the immediate trend. On the 4 hour, for example, yeah, you know, we could be taking a deeper dive at that point. But again, just that we broke 70K so confidently here, I feel much different about the structure than I did just a couple of days ago. So even if we see a big pullback, I feel much different about it. I think the market's in a pretty good place. And honestly, I think it's kind of getting more towards that buy the dip rather than short the rip season, because I've been more interested in shorts when getting near those lower high resistances, but that trend has now changed after 8 months. So you know what? So will my trading style. So that's exciting. I haven't been a moon boy in a while. I'm still not quite a moon boy, but I am cautiously bullish though. I've changed my opinion slightly, so that's good. Anyways, guys, thank you again. One more time, hit the like, hit the subscribe. With that, I'm out.